I was a disciple at the Unity Church of God in Somerville, Massachusetts back in 1994, 95, 96, 97, 98 until I went to seminary out at Unity Village. And I'll never forget the first time I had to do a meditation. It was like the biggest deal, and I was so nervous. So I honor the process and the path of getting up here and blessing us with your presence. It takes a lot of courage. You know, when you've been doing it for a lot of years, it seems really easy. Arlie and I talk about that all the time. It looks easy, what we do up on the platform with the running of the service and the meditations and the music and the lessons, but it takes a lot of practice. And I just want to thank this congregation for the love and the support that you are holding in mind and heart for our Unity disciples on their path into ministry. Well, this morning I want to talk to you about letting go and letting God and living a life in balance. You know, there is a natural balance in life, in our world, in the universe. Everything in the world responds to a balance that is everywhere present. In the Old Testament, the writer of Ecclesiastes said it in this way: for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. And it's easy to recognize that everything responds to a natural rhythm and order and balance. The difficult thing is for many of us to get into the flow of that natural rhythm and order and balance. But I do call this a natural order, a natural rhythm, a natural flow, a natural balance, because it's easy, right, to see this taking place all around us in our world. For example, in the seasons, yes? In the spring, when the leaves begin to blossom on the trees, and then when they come into full fruitage and maturity in the summer, and then when the leaves fall off the trees and replenish the earth again in autumn, and the balance begins again and everything moves towards a time of rest in winter. We see it every year, especially here in New England. It's not always so apparent if you're in the Midwest. I lived in Missouri where it was extreme heat and extreme cold. I don't know what happened to the spring and the fall. But there's this natural time for growth. And there's a natural time for rest. There's the day and there's the night. There's the ebb and the flow of the oceans. Even in our bodies, we breathe in and then we breathe out. The Chinese call this the yin and the yang of the universe. Within the very cells of our bodies, there's an unending balance. There's the breaking down and the building up. You know, this process is referred to with some very fancy terms, which I'll probably mispronounce. But it's called anabolism and catabolism, not cannibalism, catabolism, which make up our metabolism. You know, our bodies are tuned naturally into this rhythm and balance of the universe. But what we need to learn is how to tune our souls into this natural rhythm and balance. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Living a life in balance. To learn that there is a time to give out and there's a time to take in. You know, the animals seem to get this instinctually. They have this attunement, this balance to the ebb and flow of the world. They have their time when they're active and they're running around and doing their thing and being very busy. And then all of a sudden they just plop down, right? And do nothing. But are they really doing nothing? Or are they renewing their strength and their energy for that next cycle of activity? If you have a cat, you see it plop down throughout the day. How many hours is it? 16 hours a day, Mom, that they sleep? So there's activity and plop. Activity and plop. They seem to have this innate understanding that there has to be a time of giving out, and there has to be a time of taking in. A time of activity and a time of rest and renewal. Unfortunately, many of us spiritual beings who are having a human experience don't always get this, right? We're really human doings. Busy, 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 busy. Many of us are only giving out. And that's what happens. We give out from only giving out. We keep doing and we keep doing and we keep doing and we keep on keeping on doing. And we do not even realize that we're stretching ourselves too far. And we're doing way too much. Until we stretch ourselves so far that we literally what? Break. Like the rubber band snaps and we come falling and crashing back to earth. Think of Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty took a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Why not? Because when he fell, he splattered all over the place. Just like us. Sometimes when we fall from this unbalanced life that we're living, we splatter all over the place. At the end of last year, I know you've heard me talk about this, I took a fall with my health and it felt like I splattered all over the place. And that's why I'm talking with you today about this subject. Over the last 6 months, I've been learning the lesson of how to live a life in balance. What does that mean? What does that look like? How do you do it? Well, I'll be sharing my process with you in a few minutes. But let me first tell you about a woman, very special woman, at Mom's church, St. Luke's Episcopal Church, who is blind. I've gone to St. Luke's many times. Whenever I get a chance, and I watch this woman sometimes. And she has this absolute unique ability to do things very busily and then to easily and completely relax. Have you ever noticed a person with normal vision who all of a sudden finds themselves in a dark place? What do? They kind of reach out very stiffly with their fingers all straight and stiff because they're full of fear of what? Walking into something, hitting something. But this blind woman never does this. She always walks around with very relaxed fingers. She's extremely centered. And thus she's able to be aware of everything around her and she never hits or walks into anything. I need to learn how to do that. Because if I do not do that, what is going to happen to me? I end up breaking myself. I'm worried about breaking something in the room, but what I end up doing by being so tense, so stressed, so uptight, is that I end up falling and splattering all over the place. We call it being stressed out, right? Burned out, physically ill, or even having a nervous breakdown. Because, folks, something is going to break or snap or splatter all over the place if our souls cannot learn how to relax and get centered. How many of you are right now suffering from overload? You're always busy with way too much to do, not enough time to do it, and no end in sight. And even worse, when you think of taking a minute to relax, the